Hello everyone and welcome to the 5K sub special. I'm Robert and today I want to discuss a few things. I'll first discuss my top 5 most played solo board games, and I'll also have a bit of a retrospective discussion about the hobby because I've been doing this for 5 years, and yeah, this is gonna be more of a bit of a chill conversational video, and I also want to show you my shelf of shame and give you a bit of a peek into my collection. I did do a full tour of my collection about a year ago when I made my 100th video, so I'll leave a link if you want a more full tour of my collection, but I want to mostly focus on my shelf of shame and a couple other things that I've added to my collection recently, okay? But first, let's get into my top 5 most played games since I started this in 2020. Okay, so here we are in BG Stats. This is the Android app that I use to keep track of my stats, and it is linked to Board Game Geek. And at number 1, we have Star Wars Destiny, okay, at 176th place. And most of you already probably know by now that I made a solo variant for it. And honestly, I don't even think that those plays include a lot of the playtesting that I did. I did not track playtesting sessions when I made all the expansions, so the number is probably even higher than that. But yeah, it is one of my most played games because of its quick to set up nature, and it's relatively short. Each game, it lasts pretty short, usually half an hour or less on average. So one of my favorite games, and it's like a dream game to me at the time. The reason why I went through all that work is because I wanted like a solo Star Wars LCG. So after doing all of that work, it's just like a bit of a dream system to me. So that's why I've played it so much. Okay, so that's Star Wars Destiny with the Encounters solo variant. But now Marvel Champions is catching up to it slowly. I've played it, I always played it. That's one of my, Marvel Champions is one of my go-to games. It's very, very difficult to forget rules for that game. It's just so easy to return to after many months. So it's just so easy to remember, so quick to play. You just pick a hero and a villain to go up against. It's my my top 5 solo board games of all time. So Marvel Champions is just an MVP, man. Just an amazing game. Keep coming back to it. Now then we have Lord of the Rings and Arkham Horror, the card game. Now Lord of the Rings, I had a couple year almost like hiatus with it, but I played it a ton this summer, and when I first started the hobby, it was one of my go-tos. There was in that couple year gap where I didn't play it as much, but with all of the sets that I added recently, and I finally did complete my play set with all the proxies, like I discussed in a video recently where I showed you how I made proxies. I'm going to show you that later in the video, but yeah, I've been playing it a ton more. I am waiting for my dog beer order, and I've been waiting on that because I need some errata to keep playing. I got stuck because I realized that there was some errata that I needed to deal with, but I've paused on that. But after I complete my collection, I'm gonna keep playing it regularly more now that I have a complete collection, even if it's partially proxied. But yeah, Lord of the Rings is friggin' incredible, as I discussed in my recent video. Now here's where it starts getting a bit muddier. We have After the Virus and a few others that I want to discuss because it can become a bit harder to determine what a play is. Rather, it's more like how much time have I spent with the game, and not just playing it, but learning it and doing things like in anything related to the system, like with Shadows of Brimstone, with the miniature painting and all of that. Now with After the Virus, I've played it a few times since I first got it, but when I first got it, I was obsessed with it. And I played it a ton for a couple of weeks. So After the Virus, friggin' fantastic. I've raved about it before. I need to give it some love, and I need to play the expansion content with the campaign elements. I just really love that system. Now, Lorcana, again, another TCG-like game. It's getting up there because just like Marvel Champions, it has that quick to set up, quick to remember, easy to remember nature. It is so easy to remember how to play. Like it's gelled pretty much on the same level as Marvel Champions for me. So that is gonna keep racking up plays over time. And as I've discussed many times in my channel, I love anything TCG adjacent. So Lorcana is definitely gonna become a staple, and it's gonna keep racking up more plays. Now, Shadows of Brimstone, it's one of the first well, there's cards in it, but it's not a primarily card-driven game. But that shows up on the list. And yes, I have played this across many different titles. I've played the 2 core sets, and also I've played the Swamps of Jargono set, okay, with the Conquistadors, which I've made a review on. But it's just an amazing system, great, one of the best. I think nothing has beat it to this day as far as my like go-to RPG game that does a lot of things combined, like when controlling a party, but it's just like it's more than just the game. It's the miniature building and painting. Yeah, I adore this system, okay, and I've been chomping at the bit to go back to Gates of Valhalla with Shadows of Brimstone, okay, but I need to finish painting the miniatures. I don't like playing with gray plastic. Now, then we get into Heroes of Might and Magic, the board game, and that is because I did spend a ton of time with this. I played it a ton, and that was only with just a couple of the faction, 3 factions. I only played 3 of the faction campaigns, but I got a ton of plays out of it, and I enjoyed a lot. I could play it right now. I know a lot of people have issues with the game. I have issues with the game, but I unironically enjoy Heroes of Might and Magic immensely after you get over the rules hurdles. And I am waiting for the expansions that they kickstarted recently, and I did buy the new expansion. So once I have all of the expansion content and I integrate everything, I want to go back to it because I adore that game despite the issues, okay. Now then we get into the Star Wars deck building game system, and well, I did count a lot of my sessions after the system that I created became more solidified. I did start counting my play testing sessions, so that's why you see a lot of play there, okay. But it's probably a lot more than what you see there too. Early on I didn't count the plays, but eventually I did once the system started taking shape. So if you don't know, I have a solo variant that I created for that. So I did play it rigorously to try to make sure it worked well. I think I've really gotten what I want out of my enjoyment out of the system by now. All right, and yeah, I think the last thing I'll mention is Midara. So this game I played this year, and it stayed in my table for months, okay? And it is the game that stayed on my table. The Midara is the game that has the attribute of being the game that stayed on my table the most ever. It stayed on my table for a couple months at least, and I adore the campaign system, and I want to come back and I want to come back to it soon. I went through the entire first chapter of the story, which takes quite a while, especially if you play solo. You have to control four characters, so there's definitely some upkeep and there's some story reading. Pretty time-consuming game, but worth every minute and every penny. I made a full review if you're interested, but yeah, after Midara, I would say that things start to fizzle out a bit. There's tons of games where I've put a lot of time into them. Oh, you know what? I think I should mention Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven could be in that same tier as those first titles I mentioned, but and the thing is, a lot of the plays are separated by the 2 versions. If you combine the 2 versions of how many plays I've had with both of them, I would say that I definitely have invested a ton of time into this system, okay? So that's up there. It definitely should be up there. I just didn't combine the plays, all right? But yeah, so those are my top 5, I would say definitely are Star Wars Destiny, Marvel Champions, Lord of the Rings, Arkham Horror, and then the 5th one, I think it's a tie between After the Virus, Disney Lorcana, and Shadows of Brimstone. And after that, it just kind of becomes a bit muddy, all right? But yeah, Midara, I definitely have to mention it, Heroes of Might and Magic, and also Gloomhaven. But But there you go, folks. Those are my top 5 most played games since I started the hobby. And you can definitely tell my love for card-driven games and trading card games. And yeah, that reflects what I spend the most time playing myself. All right, so those were my top most played games since I started the hobby. And now I want to, just give a couple reflections since I started the hobby. So one thing I've definitely, realized is that I know what I like now. I'm not as crazy about just, purchasing everything like I was when I first started. I really can't imagine starting now. It really must be overwhelming. It kind of was already when I began, because there's just so much, and you want to try everything. But I'm over that phase by now. I know what I like. I know what types of games I like, spending time on. I'll try a game. I'll be open to trying games. I'm just not gonna be crazy about like purchasing them immediately or anything like that. Another thing is I'm not a completionist. Thank God. Now, with an asterisk. Okay. I don't have an inclination, which I did at the beginning, and I can see why people feel this way. I don't blame you. When I first started, I did have a bit of a completionist streak when it came to my purchasing habits and my mentality when backing games, but not anymore, because I've realized that a lot of the time, even if I really enjoy a system, with few exceptions, I'll just usually, how much time I actually spend with the game, it will usually be with just the core set materials. Of course, there's exceptions to this, as you'll see, because I want to show you a couple bits of my collection and my pile of shame in a second. But I just don't, it saves you a lot of money. It saves you a lot of shelf space if you just really restrain yourself a bit and, you just buy the core set. And even if you really enjoy the core set and you want to get everything later, most likely you'll be able to, and it really is not going to set you back. You're not going to have to pay tax for being late that high in a lot of cases. So usually it'll be fine. Now, where I take an issue with, what I do take an issue with, is when things go out of print, okay? And that has been the case with, a lot of Marvel Champions content this year, Lord of the Rings, LCG, Arkham Horror. And as you can see from my top most played games, I do enjoy those systems a lot. So I have let myself go a bit more buying those, because I really hate the idea of not having access to them. And unfortunately for Lord of the Rings, I did have to proxy a lot of it. But and that works too. Just proxying things, it's viable. If the publisher's not planning to print it, like I think's fine. I'll be happy to buy it, the real thing, if they ever reprint it. But I just want to have it. That's it. Those are my exceptions with that system. But yeah, when it comes to anything else, I'm a bit of a core set or base set box evangelist, if you will. That's what I am now. And another thing that I've realized after playing hundreds of games since I started is there's a couple of things that I have low tolerance for, and that's poor learning experiences and poor rulebooks. That's something that I bring up in my reviews a lot, and there's like a school or camp of people that don't that think that rulebooks are superfluous. It's like, the designer gives you these toys and you can just play however you want. It's like your sandbox. I can respect that. My mentality is I like playing something the way that the designer intended. So that's why I'm a bit allergic to the whole thing of house ruling. That is just simply not something I do. I'm okay with creating like solo modes, obviously, because you've seen that, but the whole idea of like just house ruling things, that's that whole concept, like I'm allergic to it. So yeah, that's how I've evolved over time. I don't buy everything. I'm not a completionist, with a couple exceptions, and I know what I like. I have a better idea of what I like. I don't buy everything indiscriminately, and I have become pretty strict when it comes to how much I'm willing to put up when a game, with the learning experience with a game. But yeah, enough of that. Now I want to talk a bit about some of my shelf of shame and some acquisitions that I've made this year. Okay, so first thing first, let's talk some LCGs. So remember earlier, FFG this year announced that they were phasing out a bunch of Arkham Horror sets, and a lot of people were saying, don't panic buy, you shouldn't do that. Well, who's laughing now? Because when I heard that, I was like, no, senor, no, I'm not gonna be left out. I went on a panic, as I explained in my Arkham Horror video that I made earlier this year. I went on a panic spree, just making sure that I have everything to date, because I love the system a lot, even if I don't. Because here's the thing, right? Again, I can stick with a base game, but if I really like the system, I will have the option for buying it. If I don't have the option for buying it, that's when I have a huge issue with that. I would like it to be available. If it's not going to be available, then yeah, all gloves are off, and I purchased pretty much everything. I don't have the Nightmare stuff, like the Return to, but all the major boxes, they're there. Okay. I printed a few custom campaigns. These are the Alice in Wonderland, Cyclopean Foundations, and the Dark Matter campaigns. So I have a lifetime of Arkham Horror content, all right, and I don't have to worry about I don't have to worry about not finding something. And if you are one of those folks, I am really sorry if you're struggling to find this stuff. It really is shameful. I don't understand why they won't just do print on demand. I don't know, but it is what it is. Alright, so moving on up, we have the Lord of the Rings dedicated shelf here. So I have everything here minus the Nightmare boxes, the Nightmare material past the Mirkwood cycle, and a few of the less than desirable standalone scenarios that don't work very well solo. Yeah, like 40% of this is proxied, but I did go through that process as I outlined in my Lord of the Rings videos. I showed you how to do the proxies, and I have that, that proxies that I created, helps me create proxies pretty fast. So now everything is neatly organized here, and I can play, again, lifetime of content of Lord of the Rings, and I don't have to worry about not being able to experience it. So it's all there, and again, shameful that they can't keep this in print. I did hear a theory that the reason why they didn't, the reason why FFG didn't reprint everything is because a lot of it might have been lost in that ransomware attack that allegedly happened. So that is a shame. So that if that is the case, I understand why maybe they're not too inclined to return everything. Okay, I get it a bit more in that case, but still, it's a shame for people who are completionists and they want to own everything. But there it is. Yeah, I went through with it, and I have everything collected here. Right. And now moving on to my wall of shame right now of some titles that I am yet to play. So before I make my updated list, top 50, well, I think I'll make it like top 51 or something, just endless game of upmanship. Top 51 list solo board games of all time. There are a few titles here that I definitely want to play before I make that list and update my rankings. But one of my recent acquisitions, as you saw in the in my feed, if you follow my feed, Voidfall. I'm excited to try that. I've already played Bullet. Those are I just don't have anywhere else to put that box. But yeah, anything from Victorum forward, it's things that I am yet to play. But it is a pretty tall tower of things. But definitely, I do have a few priorities here. So these two Chip Theory game titles, I want to play them before my list. Voidfall, Pauper's Ladder, which is a recent acquisition. I've heard great things about this. Now, Earthborn Rangers, another LCG-style card-driven game. Excited to play this. I definitely will this year before my list. But I have heard that there's been some production issues regarding cards missing and things like that. So I am a bit concerned. I need to do a component check I hope I'm not missing cards because that's gonna delay me being able to play it for the list or reviewing it. But yeah, I do have a few other titles here that I need to give them some love. I'm also hoping to play Robinson Crusoe because this one is pretty famous, and yeah, it's up there in some people's lists. So hopefully this year I'll give it a try. But yeah, those are pretty much my priorities. I also A Feast for Odin and Gaia Project I would like to try as well. All right, but yeah, that pretty much is my list right there. My Shelf of Shame. Quest for the Lost Pixel, it's another one that I really would like to play because for the RPG solo RPG games list, I really would like to play that as well. But yeah, this is my current Shelf of Shame. I've done a pretty good job this year going through titles, trying to make sure that I tackle these before adding more games. But at this pace, it probably will be a couple of years before I go through all of it. But it's good to have a couple games here to play still. And I also got the opportunity to play a bunch of Awaken Realms titles this year, which I will discuss. I'll make some individual reviews, and and there's a lot of things that I want to say about Awaken Realms titles, so I'll make an individual review for that. And finally, one thing that I wanted to discuss is the Stop Killing Games initiative that took place, that had a big signature collecting event this year. It was like this big topic on the internet. And this is a topic that is of great interest to me. I had a list of my top solo board game video game adaptations, where in the first 2 minutes I went on a bit of a schizo rant about people not having internet, and how I think I let myself go too much with that rant. This is a topic that is of great interest to me because one thing that I really appreciate about solo board games, and I really can't put into, it's really hard for me to articulate how much I appreciate that a board game, I can put it away for 10 years, and if I come back 10 years later, assuming that you don't lose it, or like you'll still be able to play it. It is so shameful with video games these days how everything requires an internet connection, and in fact, I remember seeing a thread recently, Board Game Geek, about if there was a Black Mirror episode, board game themed Black Mirror episode, what would it be like? And someone nailed it completely. Like, someone made a comment along the lines of, oh yeah, when you open your board game, like you need to accept terms of use to play it, and you need an internet connection. That unironically to me would be like an existential crisis if board games somehow started implementing DRM things like that. I love that, you buy a board game and you own it, it's yours, and that's invaluable to me. You have no idea, because that's another thing that has made me distance myself from video games a bit. Like, I still play video games, but just not as much anymore. And it really just makes my skin crawl, like how the direction that companies have taken with DRM, microtransactions are gross. I hate microtransactions so much. How they pull the rug on games, like Marvel Snap. Remember, I'm so glad that I didn't get caught in that Marvel Snap of scam, because at the beginning, when Marvel Snap first came out, everybody's like, yeah, it's so easy for free players, it's so good, it's so free to play friendly, blah blah blah. Well, how did that go? I'm glad that I didn't start playing it, because now you read the reviews and people start complaining that it's impossible and it's not a pay-to-win game. So like, I knew it. Like, this has happened to me so many times, and like I hate live service games. And that's another thing with live service games, right? When I play a board game, I know that it's a weird comparison, but when I play a board game, that environment that the board game, like the meta, if you will, of that board game, like let's say Marvel Champions, if I want to play just Marvel Champions, just the core set, I can still do that. But with Hearthstone, for example, that meta that you enjoyed when it first came out, like, it doesn't exist anymore. Like, you can't enjoy that simple meta that existed at some point. And I don't play live service games anymore, but I've seen this happen where there were some live service games that I enjoyed that I can't, even if I wanted to like play it again, that game, it's a completely different game. Like that game doesn't really exist. Hearthstone, it's like completely like different now. It's like crazy. And same thing I've seen with some other live service games. Like they just completely change and they're unrecognizable. But with a board game, you can just play however you want it. You can make your own meta. You can choose. You can make your own meta, and it's preserved. So if 10 years from now, if I want to experience it, I still can. With a lot of these live service games, they're lost to time, and that's assuming that the publisher didn't disconnect it completely from the internet, and now you can't play it anymore. That's just nuts to me. Like I do have a bit of an obsession with preserving things. I'm one of those people that I back up everything. Like I have like 3 ways of backing up my files. Like I have an obsession with that. Like I hate that there's games that I can't play anymore because of publisher mishandling of games, and board games are a sanctuary from that for me. Like 10 years from now, I'll still be able to enjoy my games, assuming I don't sell them or nothing happens to them physically. But yeah, this is a invaluable aspect of board games, and that's another reason why I love board games so much. And I don't think this gets brought up enough, and I think that people take it for granted. But if you are in this hobby, appreciate that more, because the video games now, like it just seems a bit grim, the way that's going. The trends are just not pleasant, and yeah, that's all I'm saying. Now I want to give a bit of a health update. I mentioned that I was having some issues with my arm. I still haven't healed completely. I'm still doing my physical therapy exercises, and I have improved. I don't know when it'll go away. I hope it goes away soon, but I've started warming up a bit to playing board games. I'm not like 100% there yet. I can play like every now and then. But one thing I want to bring up is Bullet, because I was thinking, can I still play board games with just one arm? And I kept looking through my collection, and I thought, you know what? I think Bullet might work pretty well with one arm. And it actually works surprisingly well. You basically just have to pull coins out of a bag and shuffle the bag, and with just one, and there's a couple decks that you shuffle at the beginning, and your deck, which are it's a pretty small stack of cards, like 10 cards on average, so that can be very easily shuffled with one arm. I did it, and especially if they're sleeved, and it worked really well, and I played this a ton with just one arm on and off. And I might even make a video one day of games that work well with one arm. All right, because I did have a lot of criteria of games that completely got taken out of the idea of them being able to be played with one arm. They completely got taken out of that list, because I did have some pretty strict criteria for that to be able to be enjoyed, and Bullet just it passed that test with flying colors. So if you're ever in an unfortunate situation like me where you have a arm that's not completely functional, I recommend Bullet 100%. It worked beautifully with one arm, and I'm still playing it in between while I do other stuff. So yeah, Bullet, MVP when it comes to playing with one arm. Can't recommend it enough. And I'll also make a standalone review on this, because all of this Bullet playing that I've been doing recently, it's made me realize how much of an amazing game this is, and it got relegated to an honorable mention last year. I think it might go up substantially, because I've really appreciated it more. When I first played it, I didn't have as much context. I hadn't played that many solo board games at the time. Hundreds of games later, coming back to this, I appreciate it even more. So I'm definitely gonna make an individual review on this later. Alright folks, so that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to discuss. I want to thank you all so much for watching me for all these years. And I created this channel because I just have so much passion for for this. I've never been so invested in a hobby in my life. So I just had a lot to say, and I needed an outlet for it. And I'm happy to know there's folks out there that enjoy my insane ramblings about board games. So I want to thank you all so much for your viewership, and I hope that here's another 5-10 plus years of content. And again, I want to thank you all so much for watching. And if you have any comments, questions, feedback, go ahead and put them in the comment section. And if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.